If our world is what we make of it, then we know that our choices and decisions are what shape our society. And what we have right now is what we have given, for it's only a mirror of who we are. Sadly, the reflection isn't pretty. Staring back at us from the mirror is a broken world of social injustice, discrimination, and prejudices, especially against people with disabilities. Championing the course to heal this split is a network for the advancement of people with visible disabilities, NAPVID. We have decided to be a voice. You too can. Join Hitches and Voices every Friday at 2 p.m. on Independent Radio 92.3. Hitches and Voices. Spot the hitch. Be a voice.
Spot the hitch and be a voice. This is how I'd like to welcome you to today's edition of the program, Hitches and Voices on Independent Radio 92.3 in Benin City. My name, like you already know, is Kingsley Okoje. With me, I have Deborah Bassoin. Deborah, welcome to Hitches and Voices.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, people. It's a lovely Friday, and we are super happy to be here.
All right, exciting Friday afternoon. I don't know if it rained yesterday in your area.
It did a bit in the morning.
Okay, I think the rain is deciding where to rain more and where to rain less. Anyways, Hitches and Voices is that program that talks everything disability. We try to beam our searchlight on disability issues as they affect the disability community in Nigeria, as well as other vulnerable groups in our society. If you followed this program last week, we commenced our conversation on persons with autism and Down syndrome. We did our best in that edition to enlighten members of the public, to make them understand the difference between autism and Down syndrome, and to also make them know that persons with Down syndrome and autism have prospect in life. They should not be neglected or seen as people who cannot contribute anything to society. We'll sustain that conversation on this program today. So on this program today, we'll be telling a story. Hope you stick around so you hear that story. Story is coming from yours truly, Deborah Basson.
Thank you.
She'll be painting a picture for us, as well as you'll be hearing from an expert on certain misconceptions about people with Down syndrome and autism. And also, someone with Down syndrome will be sharing his testimony, his thoughts on persons with Down syndrome. These and many others we have on the program for you today. Keep it locked. We'll go on a break now. We'll take our Nabis jingle and we'll be right back.
My country people, network for the advancement of people with disabilities, NAPVID, don't carry another better combo. This organization will get the disability community for mind. Don't decide to give free skill up programming to people with disabilities. This is skill up program. We will cover soft and technical skills like tailoring, shoemaking, bag making, hairdressing, upholstery, graphic design, content writing, and many more. So, if you be person with disability, we not get to handwork, and we go like to get training for any kind of handworking. Oh yeah, now don't come now, make you come register for our office. Wait there for number 34 Arosa Street, off Shop Number Road for Publicity. This opportunity to register for free training go there till the end of April for 2022. For more information, you fit call our number for 0912-192-6881. Remember, so to get to handworking, not to be oga of yourself.
Welcome back. It's still the program Hitches and Voices. Like we said earlier, we have a lot lined up, and the first among we'll be taking will be the story. We want to paint a picture for you. You know, most times we don't really understand persons until we can put ourselves in their shoes. So we want to see what it feels like for people who have Down syndrome and autism. So let's zero in on that story. I was 5 when I first learned I was different. It was a sunny day and I was at the public park with Mom. That day, I had wandered from Mom to play with some children building sand castle. I had barely sat down beside the boy when his mom came quickly to pull him away. I was too young to understand what was happening. I would have been oblivious if she hadn't casually said, "I don't want you to catch what she has." The this will be the first of many other stigmatizations that will be ingrained in my mind. As I grew older, it became worse, and this made school an unbearable place for me. I was a class-appointed clown and the bully's favorite victim. It didn't matter that it hurt my feelings when it made me the subject of their cruel jokes, and my teachers, they didn't make it any better. You stupid girl! You don't know anything, as big as you are, they would say when I struggled to understand what was being taught. You would think that having lived all my life with this discrimination, that I should be used to it. But I'm not. Each time I see the look of disgust on the faces of people when they look at me, and hear them make fun of me, it cuts me like a knife and wounds my self-esteem. Those words, those uncultured words, pushes me into a dark hole of pain. The world has made it its duty to remind me constantly of how different I am. And it makes me wonder if being different makes me any less of a human being. How is it I'm being judged by something I have no control over? I wish that people sometimes would place themselves in my shoes and imagine what life would be like if you are the recipient of the discrimination they dish.
Alright, seemed like that story came to an abrupt end. We couldn't conclude it, but I think Debbie was painting a picture there about the feelings and the pain of children with autism and Down syndrome. You know, as one with a disability myself, though not Down syndrome, not autism, one with visual impairment, a lot of things go through my mind when I walk into a place and I see the stairs, I see people side talk around me, and I could imagine what is going on in their heads, and sometimes they even very subtly voice it out, and I could hear them say, people assume that when they see persons with disability, ordinarily we are sad. We're not happy people. When they see us, they feel a sense of pity for us. They think we are heavily burdened by our disability. They think we suck all the time.
How do you bear?
Exactly. Like how is this person carrying himself with this disability? And so maybe they even see our spouses or our fathers and our mother. They feel sorry for them. That it must be going through a lot. I'm not trying to say that these things doesn't come with challenges, but we don't live our lives crying over these things every day. We've even lived beyond these challenges.
Yes.
It's with us. There's no doubt about it. We can't deny it. It's part of our identity. It's part of our existence. But it does not necessarily define who we are as a person. And that is it with persons with autism and Down syndrome. There's this stereotype that comes with them. People see them and just conclude that these are not as human as the rest of us. They see them as less human. They see them, more importantly, and very sad, is that they see them as less intelligent. Yes, they think autism affects the level IQ. Of IQ. And even Down syndrome, they think, because he has Down syndrome, he probably will not be able to comprehend. That's not true. The difference is he might not be able to comprehend as quickly
pace of others
as you can, but he will definitely comprehend. And that is why when we do a bit of comparative analysis about persons with disability who live in developed climes, and those of us who live here, there's a wide gap.
Very wide gap.
Yes, because you could see that maybe technology, maybe exposure, maybe so many sort of evolution have made persons with disability over there live better lives than we are living here. And among which is the level of education. And when I say education, I talk inclusive education, because when a child with a disability school in the same environment with regular kids, he or she grows to see himself as the same. Although it's a tall order to implement that here, but it's doable. Imagine you, Debbie, in a class with visual impaired children, children with Down syndrome and autism, you will grow not seeing it as a big deal.
Exactly, as something strange. So these are people who are part of the society. We are all humans, so it's easier to grab hold of it and understand it at a tender age.
All right, so in line with that story, Debbie painted, we would like to listen to the testimony or speech.
Yes, of Frank Steven.
I think he did that talk in a UN
Geneva.
Exactly, in a UN meeting. So we'd like to zero into that clip, and we'll be back.
Good day. My name is John Franklin Stephens. I am a man with Down syndrome, and my life is worth living. When my body was first forming, when the first two cells divided, each of them had one extra chromosome. People like me tend to be a little shorter because our arms and legs are shorter. Our faces are a little bit flatter because our cheekbones and noses don't stick out from our faces as much. All that adds up to a person who is a little bit uncommon. In my case, uncommonly handsome. Don't worry, I am very accepting, very inclusive. I won't think less of you just because I have more chromosomes than you do. I have been asked to tell you how to improve the lives of people with Down syndrome. The key is right there in my opening paragraph. It begins with, I am a man. See me as a human being, not a birth defect, not a syndrome. I don't need to be eradicated. I don't need to be cured. I need to be loved, valued, educated, and sometimes helped. What should that help be? Provide training to parents and babies as soon as possible. Provide medical care, eye exams and glasses. Send us to school with everyone else. Provide job training and coaches until we learn to work on our own. Most of all, expect competence, not failure. By the way, the cost to the rest of you of providing that help is the cost of a single cup of coffee per month. What difference will inclusion, acceptance, and early intervention mean? Allow me to use my life as one example of what's possible now. If it sounds like I'm bragging, it's because I am. I went to school with my neighbors. I was included in ordinary classes. The common kids and I learned from each other. I learned to fight for the right to be treated like everyone else. I have been to the White House twice, and I didn't have to jump the fence either time. I have had a lead role in a movie recurring role in an award-winning TV show. And my writings have been published all over the world. Last October, I spoke to the U.S. Senate. That testimony went viral. Over 160 million people have viewed it.
Shout out to Frank Steven there. He's definitely a man with Down syndrome, sharing his testimony and giving us his bragging right. He has every right to brag. One who has spoken before the U.S. Senate, and like that session went viral, over 150 million views.
160 million.
160 million views. He has spoken at the United Nations. He has starred in a movie and a TV show. He has bragging right. But you see, all of this is possible because of the fact that he's educated.
Exactly.
Because inclusive education is functional. Because society over there gave him an opportunity to express himself. And this is why we are using this program to sensitize people out there. You might have a child with Down syndrome or autism. You might have people with Down syndrome or autism around your neighborhood, and their parents don't know what to do with them. They see them as different from every other child. People often see them as maybe some curse or something, or maybe a bad omen, or maybe a punishment for some certain gods, but these are means that are not true, So if this man we just listened to, I hope we are patient enough to follow his story, can achieve this height, I think we can. There's something he said that was striking. He said, don't see me. He said, first off, see me as a man.
Exactly.
Don't see me as a birth defect. Don't see me as a syndrome. Don't see me as one who should be eradicated. And don't see me as one who needs cure. I think that for me is very striking, because when you say one who needs cure, it's talking of the medical
aspect of it,
model of disability, where people feel until you are medically corrected you cannot make a mark. So for instance, you are born with visual impairment. Some people will pursue cure to the point that they don't even know when to stop. They feel like there must be a solution. Exactly. If you don't see again, you can't function. If you don't walk again, you can't function. Yes, if you don't, so they keep taking the child from one hospital, even when it's been confirmed that this is the way. There's nothing much that can be done medically, but they keep pursuing cure. I'm not saying going for medical alternative is a bad thing, but I'm saying there's a point where you draw the line and know that you need rehabilitation, you need adaptation so that you can function in mainstream society. Fantastic. So you talked about another clip, yeah?
Yes. So we are going to be hearing from an expert, that's Kayla Chako, and she'll be showing some light on some myths around autism and Down syndrome. So,
but before we go there,
yes.
Before you became aware about persons like this, what are the myths you heard about? What are those misconceptions you grew up with?
The biggest one is always this: that man has done money ritual. He uses something.
And I think people just feel that most rich men would definitely have a child with Down syndrome.
Exactly. They always say that big man problem with that. They always have that.
And so when they see a child with Down syndrome, they say this is not the one where you stay do money.
Exactly. That's what I grew up hearing a lot. And for the better part of my life when I was younger, I actually did believe it. Like, really? Oh, the poor child and all of that. But now I know better.
Like I said in our last edition, what's even more sad for me is the way people clown them. Like I said, comedians have formed the habit of using them to make I hate to use the word, but very silly jokes, like calling them derogatory names like imbecile. Persons with Down syndrome or autism are not imbecile. There's no human being that is an imbecile. So using such name to qualify or describe them or describe their facial look or expression, it's a sad. I don't know if there's an association of comedians
joke goes
exactly, or if there's anybody that regulates that industry. But I think they should be told that they can do better. And I don't think it's something people should even find funny and laugh about. But that's not to say that I make fun of myself a lot. But I think there are jokes
No,
that
yeah,
have crossed the borderline.
Exactly. You should draw the line. It should be a
Because
line.
you are trying to use your jokes to educate.
Exactly, not put down persons. So, and
Exactly.
most times these jokes, what they do is to belittle persons with Down syndrome.
So you don't know what this means until you are a black man and you are in the US and someone is making you using your color to clown you. Jokes that say you are a monkey. That you wouldn't find that funny.
No, that won't be funny.
That's not to say black people don't make joke, of themselves.
Exactly.
But anyway, let's zero in into that clip of who again?
Kayla Chako.
Yes, she wants to tell us 17 misconceptions about persons with Down syndrome and autism.
Autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disability. It is not caused by anything that anyone has done. There are things that just happen that are beyond human control that have caused these developmental deficits. And it is genetic. We have identified that, and research is continuing in order to get the most information that we can about how to prevent autism. But I just want to say that autism is not caused by anything that anyone did. It is not your fault. Let's talk about how early autism can be diagnosed. Now, the signs based on research can be identified as in these signs for being at risk between 6 to 12 months, things like eye contact and pointing and speech development, definitely that early. But most professionals who specialize in autism, they say between 18 months and 24 months is a typical age for diagnosing autism. And that's because the kids are young and there is still a great amount of potential for growth, but especially at that young, the brains are still developing, and early intervention is very impactful. So most autism diagnoses tend to be considered stable, valid, and reliable around 24 months of age. There is a common misconception that if you have autism, then you are dumb, or you are not smart, or you have an intellectual disability. And that is not true. The statistics are actually that 44% of people diagnosed with autism have average or above average intellectual abilities. So get that out of your head. Autism does not directly link to intelligence. Parents who have one child with autism, the chances of having a second child with autism is between 2 and 18%. We as a field of education and childhood development and speech pathology and psychology are getting better at identifying those signs earlier. We have made major growth in these areas of the field, and now our tools are better and our knowledge is greater. So it's not necessarily that it's more prevalent, but it's being identified better and sooner. Autism is present in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups. Autism is actually much more common in boys. It's 4.5 times more common in boys than girls. It's 1 to 42 boys, and then 1 to 189 girls that are diagnosed. Lastly, children who are born to parents of a higher age are at a higher risk for autism spectrum disorder.
Okay, that's Kyla there, and she's just trying to let us know some myths about autism. Some persons say that autism is caused by parents, but she's saying no. Really, it's not anyone's fault if a child is autistic, if a child has Down syndrome, it's not anyone's fault. And the end part, she said that it's more common in boys than it is in girls. That's not to say that girls are not autistic. Some girls are, but it's more common in boys than girls. And also she mentioned that autism is not for a particular race, not a particular person. Some people will say, oh, this disease or this disability is just for Africans, or it's for the Europeans. It cuts across borders.
I think another one that stood out is the fact that because you have a child with autism or Down syndrome doesn't mean your next child will be.
Yes.
It's likely
parents have that scare.
It's very, very unlikely that your next child or the next children you are going to have are going to be autistic or one with Down syndrome.
So that's pretty much it.
All right, that's pretty much it on the program today, Hitches and Voices. We hope like they will say in debate, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that autism and Down syndrome is not a death sentence. It's not the end of the world for your child, and that we can do better with education, with therapy, and with inclusion. I'd like to do this again with you, same time, same station, so try to stick around. Follow us on our various social media platforms.
On Facebook is official Navid, Twitter is Navid Nigeria, and Instagram is official_Navid.
So join us same time, same station next week. My name is Kingsley Okoje.
And Deborah.
Spot the Hitch.
Be a voice.
Goodbye.